Right. So this is HFP Discusses.
Yeah.
After the success of the first one, in which I said we weren't just going to record rants.
Yeah.
Figured we'd do another since the first one was quite popular and got asked to do another.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rant on this one. Instead, I figured it might be helpful to tell a story.
Yeah.
It's a personal history of Happy Fingers Productions. It's about the first actor we ever worked with.
Yeah.
And it could be how I got screwed over and learned to stop trusting people in film. I'm really going to work hard, and I hope you do too, Tom, to not say this guy's name. But if we do, that's why there's a bleep, because I don't think it's fair to name him, because he may have turned his life around. Right, so the story begins at film college.
Yeah.
And I've got the idea for my first ever film, a film about a guy being hunted by apples. I was in college. What do you expect? You're gonna do something stupid. We fucked up that film so badly.
It was a great film. I don't see the problem.
Camera settings, all sorts of stuff went wrong. We started making it, got the script cleared, and then they freaked out because we had a kid in there, and we had to get permission from the safety officer.
Yeah.
Do you remember the headache of that? Yeah. Anyway, we did some casting, and only really one guy turned up to casting. And in walked this guy in this cool leather jacket, tall, quite handsome guy, rugged look.
Essentially, he was like a James Dean, but with like dodgy teeth.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair description of him. Read off, like, full of confidence. Read off kind of bits and pieces. Really liked it. Seemed interested in us. We chatted a fair bit. Shared a few cigarettes with him, I seem to remember. And I was really excited. I was like, oh, this could be like... I had visions in my head of being, you know, those, like, Johnny Depp and, what's the pretentious emo guy who's not really... Tim Burton, thank you. I'm glad you got that from that. Tim Burton, Johnny Depp, kind of, oh, this could be the guy. Starts in our first film and we'll keep going and we'll just get more and more kind of popular with him. And then he got to know him. He'd been in the army.
Yeah.
So after that, he was 27 years old, very rock and roll age. So he's way older than me as well. I thought it was so cool. And he liked the girls and he liked to drink. And I figured, well, that's probably part of his military history. I know those boys like to have fun when they can, and can totally understand why. And then we filmed Apples, and I remember a few difficulties. I remember him being a bit late a few times, getting very frustrated, walking with shopping bags. We had this image of him with shopping bags, and he got quite irate that there was too much noise and stuff.
Yeah.
He got quite snappy, but not with us, just in general. He'd be quite quick to anger. And then I remember him saying that he was having real money troubles.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
And he wasn't going to be able to pay his rent.
Yeah.
He was going to, get kicked out of his house. And...
Yeah, and we, again, in the misguided kind of thinking, oh, well, he's kind of working for us for free anyway. I don't think we were even paying expenses at this point, which we always cover expenses now in our films for actors, but we didn't back then. Dog barking, apologise for that. And it was quite a sum of money. I think it was 500-600 quid he needed.
500, yeah.
500, and we plunked together, didn't we? And we paid it, and we said, we'll cover you because you're working for us. We want to work for ages. We don't want you kicked out of your house in the middle of filming. Just pay us back when you can. He's like, I'll pay you this a week or that a week. I'll do this. You remember all that?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, cool, and kind of trusted him. Really liked the guy. And then we finished filming. And then we moved on to our second film, Who Killed Haley? If you remember that one.
Yep, my first film.
Your first film.
Was nothing like the original intention of the film. And I'm not convinced it's really about anything by the time it was finished.
Yeah, and this actor, like, he let us use his house, took us on his house, and it was great. Gonna have to pause here and come back. Okay, so, bit of interference, we're back. So, this actor... we've given him £500. We work with him. He seems cool as fuck. He seems awesome. And then we come to the second film. We're going to film in his house. He's got a pretty cool house. I remember hanging around playing Halo with him.
Yeah.
He's still drinking a bit, and he's got this girl that he knows who she's basically. You could tell she's kind of in love with him, and he seems to sleep with her when he's really drunk, but then refuse to do any more with her, and she's really hurt, but kind of doesn't. And I started to see then the kind of chaos in this guy's life, but you just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
And then, what's the order that this all happened in? We filmed bits, and I remember him being an absolute dick when a very talented friend of mine, who is now a professional actress, Jill Cardo, we managed to get her in. She agreed to do it because she knew me from theatre studies way back in A-level, and I remember like actually saying to him, dude, this is my friend, kind of, can you just show some respect to her? He was drunk while trying to film. We just turned up, he was drunk. I remember one day we wanted to film at his house and we couldn't get in.
I had to climb on the roof of a garage and throw rocks at his window to wake him up.
Because he just got drunk the night before. Knew we were filming, and he'd promised us he wasn't going to go out and get too drunk. And then he texted us, I'm going out. I remember he texted me, he said, I'm going out. I said, okay, but don't get too wasted. He said, don't worry, I'll be sensible. And he was in no fit state for anything. Remember that day, a girl was leaving as well, that we'll come back into it. And I started to see him being, maybe this isn't the coolest guy ever. Maybe this guy isn't actually all that interested in working with us, and he's just kind of, playing the part. And let's be like a piece of advice for people, particularly filmmakers. If you start to feel that way about someone, you're probably right. You can tell if they're interested in it or not, and all that stuff. So then we finished filming, and I remember that being quite stressful, but we got it done. We had an actor from Wales come in and all sorts of travelling, but we managed to get it hook and crook, and that was an achievement in itself. And then the fallout. There was an actor we used, and he slept with this actor's partner at the time.
Yeah. He slept with one of the other actors in the film's girlfriend.
Yeah, and then blamed I don't want to name the guy he blamed, but he blamed the godfather of a film that was helping us at the time, who'd come in to teach us about lighting and camera work, and we owe a lot to. He blamed him for it and said, oh, well, this person slept with your girlfriend, and wound up the situation. He then started dragging our names into it, saying that he didn't know, he'd heard it from us. When he was confronted, he blamed me and you. He never paid a penny. He hadn't paid a penny back. This was like 4 or 5 months after we'd lent the money. He was going to pay us a £5 a week or a £10 a week. He was blowing cash. We'd already found out he wasn't 27. He was 23, and he'd lied about his age. We saw pictures, but this girl that, the girl that was kind of hanging on was in love with him, who was really hurt. She'd sort of told me that he's lying to you about pretty much everything. He'd lied about his military background.
Yeah, he was like in the TA or something.
Yeah.
For like a short time, or like the.
Yeah,
I think it was proper TA. I think it was like basically like the cadets or some shit.
Yeah, he was a pathological liar, and he basically taken full advantage of us. And I remember when he then brought our name into this whole seedy thing, like, not only had he been unprofessional on set, not only had he, like, embarrassed one of my friends to the point where I felt I needed to say something. I'm pretty fucking easygoing on a set, I don't mind actors kind of bantering with each other and stuff. Not only had he kind of had these odd moments of bursting into anger. Do you remember when he had to drive a car? Oh, fuck me. He had to drive a car and he couldn't.
He had a license. And it turns out that he could only drive an automatic, and he couldn't actually drive an automatic.
Yeah, he couldn't drive at all. And then I remember him getting out of the car really angry and throwing his script and all the pages going over and him having to pick them all up. It's just, it was like, oh God, how have I been so wrong about him? And it was because I wanted him to be this great actor that we could collaborate with. We've eventually got that with Grace Fisher, who's an amazing actress, but that happened organically, whereas I was trying to force this and trying to believe in my head a dream rather than the reality of the situation. But this guy, like the unprofessional on set, he hadn't paid us any of the money back, etc. And then he decided in the middle of it to sleep with one of his fellow actors' partners. And you can blame her as well, and you can say, oh, well, maybe their relationship wasn't great, and that's why she was willing to sleep with him, blah, blah, blah. But it was while we were filming, and all we'd asked him is to behave and not get drunk. And he was getting drunk, he was in a stupor, and he was fucking about like that. Like, he jeopardized that whole film, which at the time, now we look back, it's just a shouldn't film. Whatever we'd got, we would have made something from. But at the time, it was huge for us, and it was like, oh, this is only our second ever film, and this is the proper one with a cast and actors, and this is so much and so big and so important, and he just fucked us over, or risked fucking us over in every possible way. And then when it all started to catch up with him, blamed us. The guys that had lent him money, that had supported him, that were picking him up, that were cold showering him when he was hungover, that kept going and kept telling him, it'll be okay, you just gotta be careful, do this, do that, look after yourself. And he was telling me all this shit, and we were the ones trying to support him, and he fucked us over, attempted to. And I remember you were in Brighton, and I heard about it all, and I just messaged you and said, I don't give a fuck about the money anymore. Just get this guy out of my life. I'm not working with him again. And I think you said something like, yeah, rad.
And then you ranted at me for saying rad.
Who the fuck says rad? Stop hanging around with hippies in Brighton. You're adopting the lingo. Fuck's sake. I just remember being so pissed off with this guy. And let that be a lesson to anyone who's listened to this story. Go with your instincts. Don't trust someone because they seem cool, etc., etc. Don't ever lend an actor money. Pay them for the work, absolutely. Don't.
That's essentially what I put it down to now. Like, we lost the money. Out of that, I consider it, we got not a very good actor for 2 short films, a location for the second film, and an air rifle that I have no idea what caliber it is. He claimed 1 caliber and took me out to shoot with it before we found out how much before I even knew he was 23. Yeah, even during the time whilst I still thought he was like ex-military and shit. And we took it shooting, and pretty much when you pointed the barrel at the floor, the pellets came out. So I'm pretty sure that's not the right caliber. So I'm pretty sure that's not what air rifles do.
Yeah. So yeah, let that be. Always go with your instincts on someone. Always cast properly. And if someone is fucking about or starts to fuck about, don't enable them in any way. Take them straight to task with it and cancel your shoot and get someone better. And because you can end up horribly, horribly burnt. If you do end up horribly burnt now, there is room afterwards. You can end up with a YouTube channel that has 10,000 views and super unknown and unpopular, but with the odd video here and there that your friends like.
Yeah.
Right. So that was HFP Discusses, the first actor we worked with who screwed us over.
Yep. And he was called... Bye!